I would actually rate him higher in terms of mechanical skill than some of the Korean ones. So, definitely up there.
Good call. He is very strong. Like, he's definitely... Since the departure of Xing Si, there is very little question that Chen Zhao is just the assassin god of China.
Definitely true. Needs a good support, though. And no assassin is good without a decent support to back him up. And CCH has stepped up big time. His Lucio plays were pretty outstanding there as well. But now things have turned around, Tetcher. We're moving in from a flawless 6-0 Dragon Shower for SPT to Curse Hollow.
How? What? The 0-2 on Cursed Hollow for SPT. I mean, of all the maps for them to have a negative win rate on, well, let's see if they can at least get a percentage on the board here, as we are preparing to move into the draft for game number 2.
And it really goes to show how well Soa prepared themselves for these matches there, especially against SPT, where even just one map that you take off of them is such a big success. And they bring it onto their home turf. 4-1 is definitely a strong record, and 0-2, as you said, is very unusual for SPT to play on. So let's see if they can utilize the strength of their comfort zone on this map, so that is, and take another victory and make SPT 0-3.
Let's find out indeed. This time, Hanzo given over to SPT. Also, SPT did just ruin the 100% Hanzo win rate of Soa. So, little bit of sad times there. However, guess who also has a 100% Hanzo win rate? It's SPT.
Definitely true. Definitely true. And they know how to use it, and they're not afraid to use it as well. Also, we can basically keep it for the record that Tacitor Hanzo now officially lost in China for the first time on stream. It had mixed results yesterday as well in Europe. And in NA, it seems to be very powerful, though. So definitely the region that came up with it, and that is so far executing it the best.
Yeah, that's fair enough. All the regions seem to like steal little things from each other, which is very fun to see. I mean, for example, Garrosh wasn't actually used that much in Europe, but a lot in NA, and now Timeless bringing it out in China the most.
Yeah, very true. Very true. Man, I want to see that Timeless Garrosh again. It was by far his most impactful performance. He made it look so good.
He makes it look scary. It's a scary hero when it's charging at you with any kind of speed buffs, which they seem to have a lot of. See ETC and Rhaegar coming in, so a little bit of protection for that Hanzo, seeing as Uther has been stolen away.
So I think it's safe to say that although China is definitely more innovative and crazier than other regions sometimes, it's safe to say that these first 4 to 5 picks are always rather similar. So for the second half of the draft, that's where things go normally a little bit crazy. And speaking of crazy, we saw Cho'Gall yesterday in HGC NA North America. It was really cool to see Tempo Storm busting it out. And it's been a while since we last saw some Cho'Gall action in China, hasn't it?
It really has. That was a long time ago.
That was at the beginning of Phase 1 2017.
Well, no, we saw it near the end. I think by Soa, actually, and it did not fare well. But it's an option. It's been done. I mean, SPT's Cho'Gall is definitely one of the scariest I've ever seen. Cho'Gall.
I mean, not necessarily in this game, but it could be an option in general, especially in maps like Tomb or Braxis. Speaking of Braxis, we have yet to cast our first Braxis game in this season on HGC China. Chinese teams don't seem to like it. Yeah.
Yeah, so far it's I haven't watched all of the off-screen games, but so far from the games I have seen, I'm pretty sure Braxis is the only one I've not seen played.
Definitely true. And of course Volskaya, but it hasn't really been around
that
for
was
a
played
long
off-screen.
time. Exactly.
So, yeah. So, with Cassia and Illidan have both banned out. Sonya has somehow managed to slip through the draft, so Soa could pick that up.
That could also be another Tyrael map. I mean, Curse Hollow, we saw plenty of boss steals in our history, and there we go. Oh my god. Okay, that's a classic Soa right there.
Yep, the response. Well, once again, it's against a Hanzo. So we do see that Tyrael and Falstad. So the potential for that to blow up comp.
Yeah, it could be a blow up comp. It could be a defensive comp with Sanctification, Divine Shield, Double Protection, Mighty Gust to dominate choke points and objectives alike. That's going to be pretty interesting. And that's the cool thing about Tyrael, and especially the new Tyrael as well, because he adds so much more tankiness and so much more protection to nearby targets that really makes his playstyle even more unpredictable, than before. While the Holy Ground, of course, arrives at 13, which is such a big deal.
I'm trying to think what SPT, like obviously Sonya, etc. She still fits in. Even around the Holy Ground, due to the fact Sonya does actually have the option of Mythical Spear. One of the few heroes who can actually create problems for Tyrael with that Holy Ground. That is the first blaze of HGC China.
Need a light in China? I mean, I like it. It is the first time we see Blaze in China, and while we have seen him in other regions, we have yet to see what China makes of him. Are they going to play similar builds, or are they going to do their own thing? Let's see. First time in China.
Indeed. Once again, guys, prepare for all of the fire and burn puns that we can muster, because this draft just got lit. My voice is too posh.
I'm not sure if I want to get down on your level, Tetra, now. I mean...
Well, I've discovered my voice is far too posh to use words like that.
Can you imagine a gentleman's skin on Blaze with a British accent? Would you allow me to set you on fire?
My dear sir, Oh, what's that Hearthstone card? Excuse me, sir. You appear to be on fire.
Yeah, I think it's Medivh's valet. Yeah.
That's the one, yes. And a Malthael to finish it off against a double tag. Very solid last here from Alright.
Alright, a Malthael coming back into the hands of Fei, most likely. He's a godlike Malthael player, had good results with it last season. And Blaze, most importantly. Who's going to play it? Is it going to be Misaka or Soap? I think they're basically fighting over it right now, because who wouldn't want to make the entrance with the first Blaze in China?
Yeah, but you could also hold the legacy forever to being the first Blaze to ever lose in China. That is an option you have.
Let's see, who looks more nervous? Soap, who we're seeing right here, or Misaka, who's normally sitting behind him? Ah, we didn't get a shot of him, unfortunately.
Yeah, we can't see. We don't know. We will have to see. But yeah, I think a gentleman Blaze skin could be quite fun.
Yeah.
Could be good.
So let's talk about Blaze and what he brings to the table, because we haven't really seen him a lot played in competitive, but what we could definitely say is that Bunker remains more of a niche pick, and Combustion is definitely the way to go for most players. Exactly.
Yes, because Micro, I think someone worked out that if you do the Bunker trick, you can, with 5 people, you can get something like 5,000 damage output or something like that.
It's pretty insane if you don't destroy it.
Really good, and that's all AoE.
But what could also happen, and it happened to numerous of my allies as well in the past, is that in order to get out of the bunker, you have to press R, and if you then double-click R by accident, you're going to use your heroic ability, and that looks very silly and feels very bad, man.
I've been there, dude.
Been there, done that.
So many times. It is the worst. As we do head into game number 2. Can SPT claim the clean 2-0 and extend the lead at the top of the table? Or will SOA repeat their performance from the last the last time these two teams met? And will they bring it to a 1-1? As spawning on the left is SPT with Chen Zhao on Tychus, Melody C on Hanzo, Misaka on the ETC, Soap is playing the Blaze, and ZZH on Rhaegar.
Alright, and currently down 0-1. After a strong performance in game number 1, it is SOA. Start over again with Fei on the Malthael as predicted, Uncle G on Uther, TY plays the Greymane, Klong on that main tank Tyrael, and Molly plays Falstad after all. Alright, now let's take a look at that build, because already China is turning things around, Tetcher.
Yes, they are Blaze, starting off with the Adrenaline Stim Pack. 100% attack speed and 25% movement speed on activation for 5 seconds. Very interesting.
Very interesting indeed, because the standard choice in most Blaze games up to this point was the Neural Stim Pack, which gives you a cooldown reduction and mana regen. Now, in the meantime, we see a little bit of a skirmish going down in the middle, and every now and then we would also see new habits, which is a collectible globe challenge that gives you unstoppable on your trait when you use it.
Which is pretty awesome, but right now not really too relevant due to the very low amount of CC currently available for Soa. We see the very familiar lane of Hanzo versus Falstad in top lane. Tychus, this time going for press the advantage, I believe, going for that extra attack range, which is going to be very effective because he's going to have to be kiting the double Angel Greymane.
Definitely true. Now, Justice for All, once again for the new Tyrael. The rework is live in China, and that's going to be quite the crucial, or it could be quite the crucial talent against the AoE damage provided by Blaze and Hanzo as well. So, a lot of weight, a lot of responsibilities now on the shoulders of Tyrael. Now, I think we just missed an engage in the bottom lane. Let's see who's going to have the upper end, Malthael or Blaze, judging from the health bars.
It wasn't really an engage. They were just trading. Like, Blaze did use his trait just to try and trade damage. Malthael significantly better in terms of damage output against Blaze as long as he is able to land his W.
Exactly. Now, mercenary camps are available, and we saw the night camp for Soa already being unleashed. Now, there's always this battle between night camps. Who gets more value with it? Oftentimes, it's the team that defends first and then uses their own night camp later. But since SPT wasn't really going for theirs, I think it is Soa's time to shine. Maybe even get the gate, maybe get a tower too. But here comes ETC, and here comes Tychus.
Good damage output onto Uncle G. So much focus. The Blaze charge in, and that picks up the first kill of the game.
Yeah, they had a 5-man gank in order to get it done, though. In the meantime, the mercenaries were still pushing. Molly dealing with a mercenary in camp at the top lane, soaking it up a little bit more. Malthael staying at the bottom as well. And although they just lost a team member, Uther from the Spirit Realm is going to be well worth it, because they're still maintaining a nice experience lead.
Yes, they are. They're managing to hold it together. Unfortunately, right now, though, if Blaze is able to push up this lane, they will lose a full lane of experience. No one is soaking that bot lane. However, despite Blaze's AoE, he doesn't do as huge amount of damage, so his clear is reasonable, but not the best.
Exactly. It's not busted by any means. Here comes the charge, though. Soap dealing a little bit of damage, dealing a little poke there as well. And what's really important to keep in mind when playing Blaze yourselves, guys, is that you shouldn't always set your oil rig on the fire. Sometimes you should actually, or for the most part in the early game, you should leave the oil as it is, because only then will you provide the movement speed slow that is so important. Klong with a big interrupt.
Unless you are going for, of course, that adhesive petroleum at level 4. However, he hasn't. He has gone for Meltdown as his level 4 talent, aka anyone hit with Pyromania gets their damage reduced by 5% up to 30%.
Yeah, now in the meantime, we see Hanzo chilling in the middle lane, trying to get a little bit of soaking done. The same is, of course, true for Falset, who's having a good time in that top lane, and we have a 4 versus 4 battle for tribute control. Klong really using that Eldrin's Might very nicely. Tyrael is a really solid character when it comes to interrupting people. Now, Hanzo being in the fray a little bit sooner, lots of damage being dealt onto Klong. He's gonna have to take the healing fountain if he can.
And that was a very good rotation from Hanzo. That will guarantee the objective for his team, which is good because Soap was actually being bullied pretty hard. Once again, that Malthael percentage damage value really showing how good it can be against a hero like Blaze.
Definitely true. Definitely true. And Malthael in particular is going to be a hero that I think will make or break those team fights for Soa. If Malthael doesn't get shut down, he can unleash pure chaos onto the backlanes. But if he gets shut down early by Tychus damage, by the Hanzo blow-up, for example, by a stun chain between Hanzo and ETC, Soa could really struggle. So the interaction between the infamous Divine Shield, Tormented Souls combo is going to be very important for Soa.
As Blaze charges in, trying to do some damage to Fade, but Fade already mocked him, easily able to teleport out. Level 7, by the way, Crossfire coming in for Blaze, giving him that little bit of extra damage output if he is able to land both of his flamethrowers.
Yeah, no grill and kill, which had been the go-to choice for many Blaze players. It did get nerfed recently, so maybe Soap thinks it's no longer worth taking.
I mean, I was considering, like, maybe he was... Oh, hang on. A little bit of movement, Soap in a little bit of trouble. He drops the Pyromania, giving himself that anti-damage to everyone around him. He survives, heals himself back up with his oil there, and they get Tyrael too. So,
wait a minute.
Nice, juked.
Yeah, that cheeky little mount move there was so nice by Soap. Only the mount allowed him to have enough movement speed and escape the Tyrael trade explosion. Now, in the meantime, Molly and Uncle G trying to get a kill on ZZH, but it just doesn't seem to work out for Soa. Everybody they tried to focus escaped with a sliver of health, and SPT dominating control with that first and second tribute.
Yes, they are. You see that attack speed buff coming in from Blaze to try and give him that push potential. He didn't go for Incinerating Gauntlets. It's the sentence I was going to finish a second ago, which does combo relatively well with that attack speed buff that you got at level 1, but it's still fine. He's not an attack damage hero. That's not in what he's really made for. I expect that the
Tetcher, look at the level 10. Look at the level 10.
It's the bunker. We see some crazy bunker micro here.
Loving it. Soap is giving us a treat. Combine that with Hanzo and his full scattering arrow build. We're going to see a lot of PvE damage onto that boss. But Soa is here to make a stand, here to contest it. Can they do, though? That's the big question.
Is the curse already for SPT? Stage dive coming in from the side. The bunker already popped out here. Already taken down, in fact. As Faye, wrong place, wrong time, gets stomped by the there by the Tiger's damage. But the boss was stolen.
The boss was stolen indeed, and that's going to keep the bottom lane occupied and busy for a long time. Xin Zhao didn't have enough just yet. Still in that Odin, still providing that long distance poke. But the curse is now fighting against Soa there as well, and all the minions are going to be reduced to 1 HP. However, look at that. The boss is keeping the bottom lane occupied. The middle lane is being reinforced by a mercenary camp that they had taken previously. I don't think Soa is going to take a lot of damage from this curse, Tetcher.
Falstad's in top lane, holding that one as well. The fort did already take a little bit of damage, so he is struggling a little bit. But like you said, those well-timed mercenary camps and that beautiful raid onto boss really has taken a lot of the pressure off for Soa. In fact, if Falstad is able to leave top lane for a sec, there's a good chance they could potentially fight to protect their mid-4 here. Malthael already coming in from the other side. Tormented Souls looking for the play. Here comes the bunker. Soap using it just for the armor in this case. As he moves forward, Zhen Zhao is the focus. Surprise Falstad, but Ancestral is landing.
The Ancestral was huge, but so is the Sanctification. Double Angel wreaking havoc. ETC coming in though.
Klog shields himself to stay alive. Soap chasing so greedily. Klog gets out with solo health. Soap able to retreat back through his team. Divine Shield keeps the Malthael alive. TY might have gone too deep, and he is the only casualty.
Wow, what a back and forth between those two teams. We saw the bunker being kind of... Uncle G.
Bye.
There's only so much ground an old paladin can cover, and unfortunately, it was not enough this time around. But the Divine Shield was actually used there a little bit too late, in my opinion, because maybe Malthael could have pursued with Tormented Souls if it had been used on him. But as it is right now, SPT returning the favor and stealing a boss on the opponent's side of half. And by the way, E-Star banner, never forget.
Yeah, a little bit of respect, a little bit of respect for the ones who have left. As we do see the boss taking out the Fountain, and it will move on to the tier 2s. But it's against a Malthael, it's against a Greymane. The clear speed for Soa is very quick when it comes to this kind of defense.
Alright, level 13 is here. No fuel leak, which is normally the go-to. We see suppressive fire, reducing the spell damage of every opponent hit by the Q.
I mean, I guess that's targeted at... Greymane?
Maybe Greymane, maybe Falstad, maybe just everybody. If it hits Uther, by the way, his healing will also be reduced, because oftentimes people don't realize that spell power works with healing as well.
Yes, it does. They forgot about that, as we do see Faye moving in, looking for an opportunity. Tormented Souls is already up, as are the rest of his team's abilities now.
Definitely true, and the tribute is up for grabs. Keep in mind that in the top lane, we see a mercenary camp pushing, and since the fort had been dealt with earlier, this one needs to be taken care of, and already so is rotating, sending Faye and Falstad up to grab it. I think they're making a good call, because they couldn't have contested it anyways, and at least not without taking a risk, because 13 wasn't even there.
Yeah, and it's not even close to a curse, so they're in a very comfortable position here to just defend for the moment. Uther is currently sword pseudo 1v1ing at ETC in the bot lane, while still also soaking XP there. So they're doing all right now.
Yeah, definitely true. And keep in mind that as good as Suppressive Fire on the Blaze could be, it does not shut down Malthael's damage because it's percentage based. So you can't mess with that, unfortunately.
Indeed, can be very rough to deal with, as we do see Soa moving in, trying to delay this, but far too late. SPT easily able to take down that middle fort.
And today really seems to be the day of stage dive ETCs. We've seen the second or third one coming in on this playday, and you can really see how he was mimicking and mirroring Falstad's moves here. Long in trouble.
Yeah, good power slide, and bye-bye Tyrael. And we actually saw one of the good reasons why it's so popular at the moment, where we saw him drop directly onto the Sanctification due to the wind-up being about the duration of Sanctification. It requires a little bit of timing, but you are pretty much guaranteed to have at least 2 people grouped up.
And it was so close for Klong on the Tyrael to escape there. If he had been level 13 there, the Holy Ground could have maybe saved him by blocking terrain for the Pursuers, but as it is, it was 12 3/4, and that was not enough to save him this time. But no, Holy Ground is an important tool to dominate those choke points. Maybe that will help him. But once again, 3 levels behind Tetra and another talent disadvantage for Soa.
Yeah, they're having a little bit of trouble. Klong forced to leave. Good charge coming in here by Blaze, but Uncle G will survive this time.
I gotta say, all that CC provided by Blaze with the slows and the oil can be really huge for Hanzo as well, to just get additional auto attacks in, to land his storm bows a little bit more reliably. And now, of course, Zhen Zhao popped the Odin. They're sieging up. They're here to stay, and they won't go home without a keep, it seems.
Blaze heat treatment, by the way, going for that healing on his trait. Very much a trait-based build here.
Kind of, yeah.
By the looks of it. Here comes
Gust
Falster.
play.
Gust play. Gets a really good target. Gets the Hanzo.
Sake is good.
To jump over the wall to escape. The Sanctification is really good. A beautiful Dragon Arrow, though, but the Ancestral on Chen Zhao is keeping him alive. The Tyrael Explosion gets good value on 2 heroes, but down goes the Greymane as well. They desperately try to turn this round. Molly also dropping good damage onto Soap, but it's not enough, and SPT take a 2-0.
Both teams played each other so well there. We saw a beautiful Sanctification by Klong, really turning things up there big time, but just as good was the Dragon's Area. He patiently waited, Melody C that is, until the Sanctification was over to hit everybody, because what is the natural reaction you do when the tank goes down? You clump up, you group up together. So it was an easy time for Melody C to stun as many people as possible, and that was really the turning point for them to win the fight. But we're going to take another look at it, Tetra.
The Gust was good, but Chen Zhao, if he had gone through there, the bunker, you can see the micro there giving Chen Zhao that 25 armor, which lets the Ancestral land. The anti-healing, you see it there.
Yep.
Just short, a split second.
That could have made all the difference.
To deny that, need to be on point with that 1 key or whatever you have it bound to on your keyboard.
Exactly. If the Touch of Death by Malthael had landed a little bit earlier, the Tychus would have only been healed for 50% of the amount, most likely resulting in a kill, and that could have made things a lot more difficult for SPT. But as it is, Zhen Zhao once again, Odin is back ready, so is Stage Dive, and they're sieging up with the help of a boss.
With the keep already down, the boss at full health, here comes the bunker. They can micro in and out of that to get some armor, but the bunker is taken out. It drew a couple of the core shots as they move in here. Misaka trying to hold the line for the moment. Good 3-man stun to buy his team some time. Boss is healthy, and that looks like it's gonna be it. That is GG, and SPT will take the 2-0.
The boss is still healthy, hammering on the core, and as Tetra said, with a clean 2-0 victory over a straight-up contender in the upper echelons of HGC China, SPT. They are not here to drop rank 1 again to CE. They extend the lead even more, and they're without a doubt the strongest looking team in China up to this point. Kudos to Soa, though. They fought valiantly.
Soa did fight valiantly, but like you said, SPT, they took a little bit to get going, but they're starting to look better and better. They're really returning to that original 4 of this is the strongest team, including using heroes that we haven't really seen yet.
Yeah, definitely true, definitely true. Cool to see Blaze for the very first time in HGC China, with also a variation of the go-to builds. Really cool to see. The bunker, while it didn't really prove to be the most useful of abilities ever, it still did its value, you know? It's okay.
It's not really used for what I think it was designed to be used, aka everyone get in the bunker and do damage, but instead it seems to have ended up being everyone jump in the bunker to get the armor and then leave the bunker as soon as possible.
Exactly, and I think a nice little cool thing we could see there at the end was that bunkers actually take aggro from structures as well, so you can sometimes use it if there's no minions nearby to maybe absorb a couple of fort and keep and core shots, whatever. So there's definitely some ways to play around with this ability.
Yeah, Yeah, I'm curious to see what else they do with it. I do personally prefer the other
Combustion?
heroic
Yeah.
in general, the combustion, just because flashy plays, extra damage. But it was cool to see. I think the playmaking capabilities of Bunker could be huge. If anything, just for body blocking. I
for
love
sure.
abilities that have the option to body block.
And I mean, in theory, I think that the thought process here by SPT was for everybody to get into the bunker when the Tormented Souls was used, so you deny a lot of the initial damage. But as it is, Zhang Zhao is back on the board with yet another MVP vote. This guy seems to be unstoppable.
You just can't take away MVP from this man. He keeps getting them. And for good reason. 3 kills, 10 assists, over 34% of his team's hero damage. That is insane. And the resurgence of Tychus continues.
We want to see a happy Yaya at some point. I think she was the only one who wasn't able to get a right prediction going. Yeah, she's still 0-3. They want to see the happy face. Maybe with the last series of the day, we're going to be able to.
She has a chance for redemption because, like Hendrik said, there is one more series still to come today. And that is going to be RPG versus BTG. And I am probably going to make at least one wrestling reference during that match because Rey Mysterio returned at last night's Royal Rumble. And therefore 619 references were all over the place. Uyakasha.
For those of you who are relatively new to HGC China, of course, Beyond the Game has a tank player called 619. We don't know if he's also a wrestling fan, but we would heavily assume so.
But, yeah, and if he's not, it's a coincidence if anything. But for those who don't know, 619 is the name of a finishing of a lucha-style wrestler called Rey Mysterio. So
and Tetcher basically told me and showed me how passionate of a wrestling fan he was during the Nexus Games Europe 2017. And I gotta say, it got a little bit, it got a little bit to me. And there we go. We see the big miss here, by the way, by Molly. He didn't use the Psy Storm on Jaina to interrupt her, and that Dragonite eventually cost them the game.
Yeah, it really did. It was a mistake that he should have been on top of, but he'd already used his storms, not paying enough attention. Also, someone pointing out the team cleanse is also good, except you can't really get in it if you're not already cleansed, but it can remove damage output at least for a while.
Yeah.
I did like that boss deal. That was such a big deal for Soa in that moment, but it didn't really work out in the end, as you can see here. The last-ditch attempt. See ya, Hanzo's over the wall. Tychus sneaking away with that extra armor. And there's the touch of death.
That is one of those rare cases in which you do not want to destroy those wall pieces, because normally you should always destroy them to prevent vision to the enemy team.
As he jumped over it, because someone else hit it.
Oh my goodness. So even the odds, the divine odds, were favoring SPT with a little bit of luck there in saving Hanzo. But what are you going to do? You lose some, and sometimes you face SPT. Well, Soa still played really well, and we can't take anything away from them. But my personal highlight of the day is going to be that last and final series. Why? Well, not because they've got the flashiest of names in there, but because I think it's two teams who are going to face each other on the exact same power level.
An interesting call. Both these teams a little bit inconsistent, but they have that potential. That's the thing. Each one has taken games off of some of the top teams. I'm excited for this matchup.
All right, and if you guys want to find out who will come out on top between Beyond the Game, the former third seed of China, and RPG, one of our favorite teams to watch, you better stay tuned because we'll be back after a short break.